Okay, we're continuing our Indisputable Truth book series. We're on page 127. We're on the section of happiness and meaning. So let's start. We all want to be happy. It's everyone's greatest goal in life. Ask anybody you know, everything you're doing, you ask them, why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want to go to school? Why do you want to, play basketball? Why do you want to, whatever you want to do. The ultimate goal of everything, why do you want to have a family? Why do you want to have kids? Is to be happy. That's it. That's everyone's ultimate goal and greatest goal in life. Yet, unfortunately, people are very unhappy today. In fact, a new survey by the annual Gallup Well-Being Index showed that Americans are currently unhappier than they have been in decades. One pharmacist who works in one of the wealthiest cities in America said that the top 2 selling products in his pharmacy were antidepressants and Adderall. If you want to know which pharmacy that was, it's in Beverly Hills, California. Okay? The number 2 pills, the pharmacist said, is antidepressants and Adderall. We're not talking about a city of poor people. We're talking about a city of celebrities, millionaires and billionaires who have everything they could ever ask for, who have access to, the nicest houses, the prettiest women. They have families, they have kids, they have cars, they have unlimited money. And yet, the number 1 pill is antidepressants. Okay? The question is why? Why are people so miserable? Why are so many Americans on antidepressants? In particular, why are the rich on antidepressants? Again, if you're some guy in Compton, I understand why you're sad. Maybe you're living a poor lifestyle. You're suffering from certain sicknesses because of the poor lifestyle. And so they don't have drugs. So what do? They do all crack. They don't have antidepressants. So they do crack, cocaine, whatever. But the people in Beverly Hills, the people in the richest city in the world, right? And that's not just Beverly Hills. Any other rich city in the world, you have the same thing going on. We live in a generation that seems to have everything, yet the irony is that people actually have very little, and the things they have the least of in life is meaning, right? And the thing they have the least of is meaning in life. The reason for this is that people today have many misconceptions of what will bring them happiness in life, and therefore are looking for happiness in the wrong places. That's the idea. You're never going to be happy if you don't know where to look for happiness. The number 1 misconception about happiness that most people believe is money can buy me happiness. People think if I have money, I'll have happiness. And you know what's funny? There's so many people who say, yeah, I understand money doesn't buy happiness. Yet they live their lives in a way that contradicts what they actually believe. Oh, I don't care about money. I know you can be happy without money. Oh, if that's the case, why are you killing yourself like a dog to make money? Not to say money is bad. We're not saying money is bad. You got to make money. You got to go work. You got to make a living. 100%. That's not a question. But the problem is what? That people become so, obsessed with money and craving money, and they lie to themselves saying, oh yeah, money doesn't buy happiness, when in reality their actions are just, that's what they think, that's what they're doing. They're working 12 hours a day, they're workaholics, they barely see their families, they choose money over their relationship with Hashem, right? So if that means working on Shabbat, right? If that means school, if their school told them, hey, you have a test, it's Shabbat, you got to take a test on Saturday, right? Instead of saying, hey, God doesn't want me to, go to school on Shabbat, I'm going to have to write, I'm going to have to violate Shabbat, I'm going to have to drive there, right? Instead of overcoming it and maybe, working it out, talking to the principal and saying, hey, I'm sorry, I'm a religious Jew, I keep Shabbat, I can't go to work, right? Or someone's a lawyer and the firm is asking me to eat at a non-kosher restaurant. Instead of having the guts and saying, listen, I'm a Jew, I don't eat at non-kosher restaurants. You want to eat? I'll take you to a fancy kosher restaurant. I'm not going to take you to a non-kosher restaurant. I'm sorry. You want me to participate in the Christmas parties? I'm sorry. But instead of doing that, right? The people who say, oh yeah, money doesn't buy happiness. Yeah, money's not the most important thing. Yet, when it comes to their Judaism, every time it's money versus Judaism, money wins. So if it's Shabbat versus, working on Shabbat and making a lot of money versus taking the day off and not working on Shabbat and not breaking Shabbat, okay, money wins, right? When it comes to, kosher, money, if the kosher food's more expensive, money wins. When it comes to their families, when it comes to Jewish school, should I send my Jewish kids to Jewish school or no? When it comes to the vacation, right, he's ready to drop, how much is it for a vacation? If you want to go on a Pesach program, some Pesach programs are $20,000 per person. They're willing to drop $20,000 per person to go on a Pesach or whatever, vacation, whatever it is, right? But when it comes to what? When it comes to, Jewish school, some people are very cheap when it comes to that. What is it? Jewish tuition, it's so expensive. The schools are out for money. But when it comes to his own personal thing, no, I'm willing to drop a lot of money. I don't care. When it comes to Hashem, oh, not all of a sudden, no. Or it could be your family. It could be anything, right? I always say the story. I said this last time that of the kid in last class. I think I said this, that the father's a workaholic lawyer, and the kids said, you know what? We're gonna have to buy our father's time. They collected $1,000. They went to their father, and the father said, oh my gosh, like you had to buy my time. Like I'm missing the point. Why am I running after money? Why am I going to school? Everyone says, why am I going to college? You're going to college? Why? Because you want to be a doctor, lawyer. Why do you want to be a doctor, lawyer, businessman? Because I want to help people. Okay, but realistically, why do you want to do that? If you're not making money, you're not going to choose that occupation. Okay, so you want to make money, right? Realistically speaking, no one's going to be a doctor or a lawyer and kill themselves and go to school if they don't make a lot of money, right? So, okay, fine. You want to make money. Why do you want to make money? For my wife and kids, so I could have a family, so I could live life, right? But you're willing to kill yourself, to make money, to sacrifice, to make all this money, right? And go to school. Why? So you can have a wife and kids and have a family, right? But you're not willing to, again, you're such a workaholic that when you start making all that money, you avoid your family. You don't spend time with them, right? Because and it gets to the point where you're doing all this for your family, right? To kill yourself, to work hard, and make all this money. And the thing that you're doing for them, now you're using it against them because now they barely see you. Right? You became like that lawyer whose kids have to pay him off to meet with him because he's so busy. Right? You're missing the point of why are you making money? Money, yes, money is a means to an end, not an end of itself. And a lot of people get caught in that money loophole. Again, money's not bad. Money's important, right? But the idea is what's your mindset? What are you doing? Where are your values come in? When money comes in the picture, do you lose all your values? When money comes in the picture, is everything else more important and money's number one and you're willing to run down anybody for money, which a lot of people are willing to do. So again, a lot of people think money can buy me happiness. Rabbi Shafir in his book, Stop Surviving, Start Living, asked, what is the one big difference between a house built over 70 years ago and those built today? He answers that it is the cabinet space. Houses built over 70 years ago had very few cabinet and had very few cabinets and they were very small. They didn't need walk-in closets like we do today, simply because people owned very few items and were not so wealthy. They didn't own 20 pairs of shoes, 30 types of shirts like people own today. Most people own just 2 pairs of clothes, one for the weekday, one for Shabbat. People lived very simply and had less money. Interestingly, these people living in earlier generations thought that they thought that the more wealth and money would solve all of life's problems, yet here we are decades later, and even though the average person has many times more material possessions and luxuries than our ancestors, people in general are not as happy as they used to be. This itself is a major proof that money does not buy happiness. Again, we have way more money. The king, I love this example. The poor people of our generation live greater than the greatest kings did thousands of years ago. Think of a king who lived thousands of years ago, okay? He didn't have running water. So when you want to go use the bathroom, right? Number one, okay, that's easy. Number two, guess what? It's 5 o'clock in the morning. He has diarrhea. He has to go in the middle of the forest, right? There's no nice toilet paper, wipes, right? There's nothing. There's no baby wipes. You know what he does? He uses the leaves. He doesn't know if there's some worm on the leaf, some bug on the leaf. It's dark, right? He doesn't know the hole he's stepping in. There's an animal there, right? He wants to take a shower. It's not like, even the poor guy today, he turns on the hot water, boom, he can take a hot shower. Okay, the water pressure might not be crazy, but at least he has water pressure, right? The king back then, he wants to take a shower, he has to ask 500 servants to come, boil water, pour it on him, they have to make sure it's the right temperature, right? 500 different things just to take a hot shower, and they barely took showers back then because of that, because it was so difficult, right? Running water, they want to drink water, they put their water, their cups in the rivers. You never know if you're drinking some leeches or worms. Right? Today, even the poorest person could go to Ralph's, the grocery store and buy $1 water bottles that are, gigantic water bottles for $1. Okay? There's, we live in a luxurious life. We have so many pairs of clothing, shoes, everything. We could eat delicious foods for very cheap prices. Yeah, they might not always be healthy, but that's needless, whatever, that's not the point. We have everything that the kings back then didn't have. But those people, although they have way more than the greatest king, who was the happiest person supposedly at the time, right? They had more materialistic pleasures and access to so many different goods. Yet these people now, they're the unhappiest people. They say, why do I live in such a small apartment? Why do I have this? Why? Even though they have, they live much better than kings. Why? Because it's all about mindset. They're comparing themselves to everybody around them. If everybody around them had that, okay, fine, it's different. But the fact that they they don't compare themselves to the king. They compare themselves to their generation. And that's the idea. Money does not buy happiness. The more material possessions you have, you see from here, what? That's not going to bring you happiness. You could have, it's all about perspective. But let's go even deeper. Additionally, as we said before, it says in the Midrash, the oral Torah, Midrash Kohelet 134, it teaches that human nature is that a person who has 100 wants 200, and the person that has 200 wants 400. It's a never-ending cycle when it comes to money. Many people are unhappy today because they chase money as the cure to all of their life issues. Once they make that money, they desperately thirst for more and more, and the cycle never ends and never stops. As the verse says in Ecclesiastes 5:9, right? King Solomon wrote that, a lover of money will never be satisfied with money. Although wealth has its advantage, we tend to think that it can do more for our lives than it actually can. Again, make money. Go do all that stuff. No one's saying no. But don't think it's going to get you ultimate happiness. Okay? So again, one key to becoming happy is, appreciating what you have. They say, Ezehu Ashir. What does Ashir mean in Hebrew? Wealthy. Who is a wealthy person? Right? Ashir, right? The word Hebrew. Ayin. Ashir, right? Ayin, a wealthy person. Ayin. Shin, Yud, Resh, right? So what's Ayin stand for? Einayim, eyes, okay? Shin, what does Shin stand for? Shinayim, teeth. Shin stands for Shinayim, teeth. Yud stands for what? Yadayim, hands. Resh stands for what? Raglaim, feet. Ezeu Ashir, who is a happy person? Sameach bechelko. You want to be a happy person, you got to be happy with what you have. So what is a happy person? Someone who acknowledges, look, I have hands, feet, legs, nose, mouth. I have every body part. That's the biggest blessing. If someone told you that either you have to lose a limb or pay $5 billion, right? Or let's say for an eye. Either someone's about to lose an eye. The doctor says I have a medicine, it costs $5 billion, but it'll save your eyesight. People will literally give up $5 billion just to get their eyesight, right? So we see that every limb, that's just the eyes. What about every other part of the body, the brain, the nose, the mouth, right? The fact that our bodies work, the fact that we have all these material blessings of health, happy, having a family is a big thing, so many different things, so many different blessings of that we have in our lives, right? Just the idea is the Torah is telling you got to put it in perspective, right? Don't compare yourself to other people. Be happy with chelko. Be happy with God gave you. God gave you whatever you need to be to fulfill your mission. Fine. That's idea number one. Being happy with what you have, right? Putting yourself in that mindset, which is not easy, but you have to work on it. Number two, what's the secret to true happiness? So that's one thing I said is being happy with what you have. Right? Not comparing yourself. That's why people who go on Instagram are always going to be miserable. The people who go on Instagram all day, they're seeing what this person's doing, that person's doing. What do you think you're doing on Instagram? You think that person who's posting that image of his life, you think he's going to post the times that he's crying, in his pillow and in his bedroom, right? Or the time he got in a fight with his wife, or the time that his kids drove him nuts, or the time he got he's not going to post the bad things in his life. He's going to make his life look like a super show. I'm telling you, I see people's, Instagrams. When I used to go on Instagram, I see people's Instagrams. They put a fake lifestyle. They pretend like they're so happy, but when you go to their lives, they're miserable. They're not they're not happy people. Have you ever seen those pictures of the couples? They look so happy together, but you didn't know that right before they took that picture, they're in the biggest argument, fighting on their vacation. Their whole vacation got ruined, but they took one picture to make it look good. I could tell you so many cases. There's a case of a person that, that they're, one of their spouses, basically is, changed, and he likes the opposite gender now, okay, to put it in those words. And that person, one of the spouses, although they're miserable and everybody behind the scene knows all their relatives and family know that person's miserable and is going through therapy and all that stuff. Well, guess what? When they post on Instagram, they make it look like, wow, life's amazing. I'm at the beach. I'm getting a tan right now, right? I'm chilling. But no one knows what's going on behind the scenes, right? They make it look like everything is nice, but that's it. It's all a show. It's all a scam. That's why Instagram is the biggest scam in history. You go on Instagram, you go on TikTok, you go on all these things. People are just living fake lives. They're not showing you their true lives. So don't, go, again, better not to be there in the first place. Okay, better not to be there. But if you're already there and you're looking at all their things, you're just going to make yourself nuts for no reason. You're going to make yourself jealous. And some people don't care. But some people are just naturally, they have that tendency and they always compare. And whether you like it or not, you're going to compare yourself to the other people. You're going to compare, whether it's you're on Instagram, you're going to compare your wife to other people's wives or other people, other single girls out there. You're going to see a lot of people, they go on social media, they're always looking at cooking. Every 2 seconds, they're looking at cooking videos, okay? So they see, wow, look at this food, look at that food, look at this guy's wife, he's posting cooking videos, right? And then his wife doesn't cook, his wife doesn't know how to make food. So now he's comparing, oh my gosh, my wife, only if my wife knew how to cook, only if my wife, did this, only if we went on that vacation. You're just making your life horrible, you're making yourself miserable. So let's go back. So what's the secret to true happiness? Let's see what the Torah says, the instruction manual for life. You want to know how to be happy? Go to the instruction manual. God gave us the instruction manual. He tells us what we need to do to be happy. The Torah tells us, right? There are 2 parts to every person. There's a physical body and the spiritual soul. Both parts need to be fully nourished for a person to be satisfied and happy. The physical body can get nourished with a nice steak, a delicious smoothie, a nice vacation, etc. On the other hand, the soul is different. The soul is deep. The best steaks won't satiate the soul. The soul gets fed through meaningful prayer, right? Helping an old lady across the street, giving charity, doing kindness, learning Torah, and other spiritual means. However, the problem today is that most people only feed one of these 2 halves. They live a very physical life and only feed the physical half while neglecting the soul. By feeding half of themselves, they score 50%, which is an F, right? An F letter grade. They fail because their other half starves, so they live empty lives. When a person feeds his or her physical half, but then also dedicates time to feeding his or her spiritual soul, both halves are well fed, and thus the person lives a much happier and productive life. Meaning, the Torah is not telling you, oh, neglect your body. You want to be happy? Go in the mountains, the monks. They say, oh, you want to be happy? Run away from the world. Fast all day. Meditate in the mountains. Run away from life. Right? That's not, the Torah is against that. Right? And the Torah is against obviously being a materialistic, a hedonistic person. Both ways are not going to make you happy. So America is wrong and the Far East is wrong. America says be a hedonist. That's what's going to bring you happiness, physical pleasure. But again, after you eat the steak, you feel like garbage after that. After you've experienced sexual relations, you feel like garbage. You're like, okay, you don't feel like on top of the world after that. You feel like, okay, I got, you got it out, right? After a person sleeps, okay, he slept. It felt good. It's over now, right? After every physical pleasure, yeah, once you're satisfied, okay, you don't really care about it anymore. Again, once you're full, you're stuffed to your stomach, you don't care about food anymore, right? So that's America. And the Far East says run away from it. The Torah says no. You want to be successful, you want to be happy, you need a balance of both. Meaning, take care of your body. Sleep. Don't starve yourself from sleeping. Don't make your life hard. No, sleep. Don't be an animal. Don't sleep for 10 hours per day, 12 hours per day, right? And be in bed all day and be a loser. No. Don't do that. And also at the same time, don't sleep for 1 hour per day. Sleep. How much do you need to be healthy? 6 to 8 hours of sleep. The Torah says take 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Do what's normal, right? Food. You need to eat food. Don't be a hedonist, and also don't starve yourself. Go in the middle path. What does that mean? Eat healthy. Try not to stuff your stomach when you eat. Eat enough to be full, right? Eat to live, not live to eat. Okay? Sexual relations. The Torah. You go to Christianity and Buddhism. You want to be holy? No wife. Separate yourself from the world. America says no. That's the number one thing. It's all about sex. 24/7, sex. That's all you got to look at all day. Watch, find girls, go to the club. That's all day. Judaism says no. Whoa. Take it back. You can't starve yourself from that because God made us like that. We are beings that crave that. But at the same time, don't be an animal. Strike the middle. Find yourself a wife, who you find in your eyes to be beautiful. Okay, and build a relationship with her. Don't make it a sexual. Obviously you get your desire out with being with your wife. But I'm saying make it a real relationship. Don't make it a one-time fling, right? And just something. Don't make it the girl a piece of meat. Build a relationship with the girl, and yes, you'll get your desire. So you're not starving yourself, and at the same time, you're not you're not becoming a sexual animal that's all day. That's all they think about. You're taking the middle path. That's what the Torah says. Plug in any physical thing. That's what the Torah says. Always the middle path. That's what Judaism says, and that's the key to being happy. It's not about just feeding the physical, right? Again, you can have every physical pleasure in the world, and you still won't be happy. I myself talked to many celebrities, many different rich people, and they all told me the same thing. I myself, growing up secular, you can have every physical pleasure possible. It's not going to bring you happiness. What's going to bring you true happiness, right? Yes, taking care of the physical body, but in addition, connecting your spiritual soul, right? Connecting to God. But we said what is doing the purpose of life. Okay? So, furthermore, by examining the lives of celebrities, we can further prove this point. How else can we explain like someone like Robin Williams, who had great wealth and honor, can end his life by committing suicide, and so many other celebrities? On the outside, he may have looked very happy. However, in actuality, he lacked something internally. This also explains why many other celebrities are on antidepressants or on drugs and have horrible marriages, right? All their physical wealth and honor only feeds their physical half, while their other half begs for something deeper and more meaningful. However, they just don't have that, and are therefore unhappy people. Now, Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and a renowned psychiatrist, wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. In his book, he wrote that every day, countless patients would come to his office complaining of depression and begging for his help. He wrote that most of these patients did not have any major life issues, such as divorce, loss of a loved one, loss of employment, or anything else that to explain their depression. Meaning, these are just normal people. They have everything going for them. So why are they depressed? He was trying to figure it out. He concluded by saying that what? That the source of their depression boiled down to one issue. They lacked any meaning in life. Although they may have everything in life, their lives were without meaning and they were missing a greater purpose to live for. Thus, explained Dr. Frankl, they were depressed. So what is he saying here? The key to being happy is what? You gotta have meaning and purpose, right? You gotta live. If your life has no meaning and purpose, right? If you're just another Joe Schmo in the street, guess what? What am I doing here? What does the world need me? I'm not important. I'm not necessary. Have you ever played in a basketball game? You're playing 5-on-5 and no one's passing you the ball, right? So you feel like, what am I doing here? Like they're not taking advantage. Like I'm a good player. Why are they not passing the ball to me? Like I don't want to be getting rebounds for some guy to pass to him. I played basketball games like that. Literally playing a 5-on-5 and there's the one guy on the team who's the ball hog, right? And literally, the guy said to my face, and it's not like I'm a bad basketball player. I'm a shooter. I could drive. Whatever. I'm good. But this guy, obviously the ball hog with the ego thinks he's so good, to the point where he said, "Listen, bro, I came on a Wednesday. I came just to play basketball on a Wednesday night." This guy said, "I'm sorry. I'm here to win. Okay? I don't care about you. It's all about me. I'm the best player in the team. You pass every time you get a rebound. You pass me the ball." And after he said that, I'm like, "Bro, why the heck am I playing with you? Like, what am I doing? I'm not here to. I didn't come here to be your servant and pass you some layups and some shots. I'm not here to be your ball rebounder. Okay? I'm here to play and have fun. Yeah, of course you got to pass the ball and give everyone a chance. But I'm saying we're here to be a team. You know what the guy told me? I told the guy, you know what a team is? It comes from the word, in Hebrew, the word team is similar to the word svuta. Svuta means, right, similar root, means team, right? And what is that word? Sorry, I'm using the wrong word in Hebrew. I forgot the exact word. I think it's sivita, whatever. In Hebrew, it means team. It comes from the word savuta. Savuta means connection. What is a team? When everyone's connected, when everyone knows each other's names, right? This guy's name, that guy knows that guy's name, right? That's a team. If no one knows each other's name and everyone's playing one-on-one basketball, it's not a team. It's just one-on-one. Everyone's playing, king of the court, one-on-one by themselves. But that's what a team is. So I told the guy, basketball, if you want to win, you got to be a team. You got to be all together. It's not we're playing one-on-one basketball. And you know what the guy told me? You know what the middle word of the letter I is? Of the word win is I. That's what it's all about. It's all about me. Right? So I'm thinking about the guy. The guy's nuts. But the point is that what? People are missing the point. People are missing. You could, if you don't have meaning, if you feel like you're not necessary, if you feel that, who am I? What am I doing? What am I accomplishing? I'm just another Joe Schmo. Like anybody could do what I'm doing. If you don't feel important, if you don't feel like you're accomplishing something, you don't have meaning and purpose in your life, right? Then what's going to happen to you? You're going to get a bit depressed. So he's saying what? You need to have meaning and purpose. Now, the problem is, with that, you could read that book and say, okay, I know the solution to depression. Getting meaning and purpose. That's how I'm going to be happy. But now people make themselves goals. But they make themselves fake goals. Okay, you know what? My purpose in life is I'm going to be the number one player in the NBA. Okay, no one's saying no. But that's not your purpose in life. There's a high was. So you're created for 80 years of life to become the best NBA player and die, and that's it, right? Oh, my number one mission is to become a billionaire. That's my purpose. I got to become a billionaire. I give myself meaning. So everything I do is for that ultimate goal. Great, you're a billionaire. What is the ultimate goal of that? So what? Right? So the problem is people make themselves fake goals in life. Oh, I'm going to be the Lakers is my team. That's it. I'm the number one Laker fan and I'm going to kill him. Dude, do you think LeBron knows you? When Kobe was playing, do you think Kobe knows you? when you cry and scream when they win the championship, no one knows who you are. But you're making yourself a fake purpose. Why? Because that gives you meaning. You have nothing other in your life. And a lot of people, that's what they do with their jobs. They make their jobs the main thing in their life to attach meaning to it. Okay, I'm going to make the best law firm, the best business, the best dental practice or whatever. The idea is what? Of course, be the best doctor, be the best lawyer. No one's saying no. But that's not the ultimate goal. Because even if you do that, you're going to hit a dead end and you're going to be not happy. So what is the ultimate purpose? What is the ultimate way of being happy and the ultimate meaning? The purpose of life. That's why before we talked about the section of happiness, we needed to talk about the section of purpose of life. The ultimate goal in life. Something that's not just attached to 80 years of life, but is determined your eternity, is your relationship with Hashem. Your Torah, your mitzvot, right? You're fixing your character traits, helping other people. What you do in this world, right? This 80 to 120 years of life will determine your eternity. Every action. And you got to find, there's a general purpose. And by the way, there's a whole section in the book I wrote on how to find your unique purpose. So the general purpose of life is to get close to God. In order to be happy, not only do you need to know the general purpose, you need to find your unique purpose among that general purpose, right? So I'm going to go more into that when we get to the appendix of finding your unique purpose. But the idea is, if your mission in life is to get close to Hashem, to fulfill the ultimate goal, and that's by doing Torah and mitzvah, which is hard. Torah and mitzvot is hard. It's a challenge to study Torah. It's a challenge to keep mitzvahs. It's a challenge to work on your character traits. It's a challenge to make goals to help other people, right? But the idea is, that's the greatest meaning. That's going to last longer than all the other things you could give, fake, goals you can make for yourself to give yourself meaning. No, that's the true meaning. That's one they could obviously prove. That's what we did with the book. And number two, right, there's a clear pathway of how to accomplish it, of how to become, reach your ultimate you, how to reach connection to Hashem, to reach the spirituality, right? And that's the ultimate goal. You want to be happy, you got to fulfill the purpose of life of getting close to God, right? But again, for more info, go back to the purpose of life class. According to the American, and I'm going to finish with this. We're almost done. 2 paragraphs and we finish. According to the American Journal of According to the American Journal of Psychiatry, atheists and people who are unaffiliated with religion have the highest level of suicide and depression. Okay? That is nuts. That means, why? Why is that? Because guess what? If there's no God, there's no purpose in life. That means life is a joke. What are you doing in this world? There's no meaning and purpose, no point of living. So if you're suffering, you're gonna be like, why did I have to be the unlucky person? Why am I that person had to be? Why did it happen to me? Right? You're gonna ask the question, why? There's no God, there's no meaning, there's no purpose. So you're gonna be miserable when bad things happen, right? And that's why those people, the atheists and unaffiliated with religion, have the highest level of suicide. Because what's life? What am I doing? Why should I suffer? Better just die than suffer, right? They don't understand, no, there's more to life. Maybe there's a purpose for the suffering. They don't believe in that stuff, right? And that's why they're depressed. And let's read footnote 223. There's sufficient reason to believe that faith in a higher power is associated with health, with better health, and in a positive way. For example, researchers in Mayo Clinic concluded most studies have shown that religious involvement and spirituality are associated with better health outcomes, including greater longevity, coping skills, and health-related quality of life, even during terminal illness, and less anxiety, depression, and suicide. Several studies have shown that addressing the spiritual needs of the patient may enhance recovery from illness. So even the doctors are admitting it, that the more spirituality a person has in his life, real spirituality, not fake spirituality, right? The more he has it, the more he'll be healthier. It coincides with the person's health. At the same time, so we said that atheists and people unaffiliated with religion have the highest level of suicide and depression. Okay, these are the stats. If you want to, in the book I bring the study. At the same time, Orthodox Jews have the lowest incident of suicide and depression. Okay? So again, we see clearly, if you have God in your life and you're living by purpose, right? Again, and this is very important. I'm not saying all Orthodox Jews are the happiest people in the world. That's, again, let me be very specific. There's many Orthodox Jews who, unfortunately, they identify as Orthodox. They might look Orthodox, but they don't live Orthodox lives. They don't live by the Torah, right? They look like from the outside Orthodox, but on the inside they act very unorthodox. So those people, they might identify as Orthodox, but be miserable with their lives, right? There's some guy telling me, oh yeah, all these Orthodox people are miserable. I told the guy, yeah, maybe the ones you met, but that doesn't stop assuming all of them are like that, right? You're assuming everybody's like that when you just met a few people like that. And probably the few people you met probably don't even know how Judaism is true. They don't know what the purpose of life is. They might study, Talmud, Tanakh, they might study the Torah, but they don't have the foundation. So those people don't have foundations. They're going to be miserable, because if you're studying a book, there's some people that are studying Gemara and they don't even know that the information within it stems from God. They believe rabbis made it up. So of course you're going to be miserable with your life like that. You're going to just think these are a bunch of made up rules, so you're going to be miserable even if you identify as Orthodox. But the point I'm trying to say is that, generally speaking, yes, Orthodox Jews are happier. There are the stats to show that. But the point I'm trying to say is that what? If you're doing Orthodox Jewry right, meaning if you're keeping the Torah and mitzvah correctly, right? And again, all the ideas, you're living by the Torah, you will be a happier person. It's a guarantee. Not because I said it, because God said it, right? Because you're living by the purpose. You're internalizing the teachings of the Torah, which teach you how to be a happier person. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee. But generally speaking, Orthodox Jews have low rates of suicide and depression. And we said here that generally speaking, right, they're happier than the secular thing. But yeah, much, much happier. Again, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule for anything. Okay, but that's let's continue. So when you live, and with everything we said so far, the reason for this should be crystal clear why Orthodox Jews are happier and have lower rates of depression and suicide and all that stuff. When you live so the idea is what? When you live life thinking that there's no greater purpose in life, right? Meaning there's no purpose to life, like the atheist thing, then life becomes meaningless. And during challenging times, life sits a dead end and there's no higher power to turn to. In conclusion, the Jewish nation comprises 0.2% of the world's population. We are only 1 out of every 500 people. Thank God we are fortunate enough to be among this special Jewish nation. Okay? God gave us the instruction manual, the Torah, on how to live the most meaningful lives. Orthodox Jews who have followed this instruction manual for life have the lowest depression, suicide, and divorce rates in the world. The bottom line is that if we want true happiness in life and to receive eternal reward, we have to invest into our soul. So, summarize. How do you be happy? There's a lot of things to say, but step number 1, Sameach bechelko. Right? The Torah is teaching you, be happy with what you have. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Be happy with what you have. Acknowledge that whatever you have is what you need to fulfill your mission in life. Stop comparing yourself to other people. So that's number 1, being happy with what you have. Think to yourself, wow, I have eyes, I have ears, I have a nose, I have a mouth. And even if you don't have those things, wow, it's good to be alive, right? Orthodox Jews, the number 1 motto, this is what my Rebbe Rabbi Golfiz taught me, it's an honor to be alive. It's a privilege, right? So we have to be simchat chaim. That means joy of living. It doesn't matter what's going on in my life. It's good to exist. It's great to exist. It's great to be alive, right? You have to be happy. The fact that you even exist is a blessing, right? Okay, whatever the life situation is, doesn't matter. There's a greater plan. You got to learn the greater plan. That's why we're going to go through in this book, see the reasons for why bad things could happen in the world, right? What the ultimate meaning of those things are. But the idea is, sameach bechalko, have simchat chaim. Know that everything God does is for the best. He's running the show, and that be happy with what He gave you. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is fulfill the purpose of life. Okay? Fulfill the purpose of life. Meaning what? Study Torah, do mitzvot, fix your character traits, accomplish, give yourself meaning. You need purpose. And if you do the ultimate meaning and purpose, which is Torah and mitzvot, connecting to Hashem, right, fulfilling the purpose of life, which is to have a relationship with Hashem, right, you will be a happy person. That is the key to being happy. Why? Because your soul, Rabbi Nachman says, when the soul is not on the right path, and the soul is going in the wrong direction, the soul is trying to tell the body, right, with depression, I'm not happy, I'm going in the wrong direction, right? But when you're going on the right path, the soul feels minuchat nefesh. It feels, wow, I'm going in the right path. I'm heading in the right direction. It feels happy. It feels satisfied. And I'll give you an exercise that, I heard from, Reb Noach Weinberg, that he taught it to, a rabbi named Rabbi Moshe Zelman. And this is the key exercise. Spend 1 hour. This is the key to, again, happiness is a muscle. You got to keep, besides for obviously doing the purpose of life, but you also have to keep constantly reinforcing the idea that God, all the blessings God gave you. So take 1 hour. This is a guarantee to be happy. Take 1 hour, make a list of 100, and in 1 hour, make a timer and write everything you can on the list of all the blessings you have. So on the list you can write, I have eyes, I can see in color, right? You might have 20/20 vision. You don't have to wear glasses. You can say I have hair. I can hear, right? I can taste food, right? I can smell. I can walk. I can talk. I have books. I went to school. I went this. I have a family. I'm Jewish, right? Whatever you want on the list for 1 hour, as many things as you can. So let's say after that hour, you have 100 things on that list. However many things you could write. Then every day for the rest of your life, right? At least for a month or whatever. Do it as much as you can. Add one new thing on the list that you didn't write before. Okay? Add one new thing on the list. And every day, focus. Take 1 minute, 2 minutes, and focus. Wow, look at this new thing. And by the way, this also works, this kind of process with marriage, right? You want to love your wife more? Make a list of for 1 hour of everything, all the things you find in your wife, and then every day try to find one new thing in your wife that you saw and that you appreciate about her. That'll make you love her more, right? And the other thing I said to do will make you happier. Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, may we, conclusion is, the key to being happy is appreciating what you have and fulfilling the purpose of life. And obviously taking action to remind yourself that you have these things. So B'ezrat Hashem, let's finish off with that. Thank you so much for listening. Take care.